Hello and welcome everybody to our Reimagine Work special insider session, Generate Workflow Process with AI natural language processing in seconds. We are really excited to show you the content today because you're going to be absolutely astonished at the power AI is bringing to your workflow processes. So today I have two great friends with me, Mr. Jeff Comer, our sales engineering god, manager of sales engineering here at Naviant, and Jake Krause, who is VP of Innovation and our UiPath expert. He's built a lot of really great solutions, and he's going to be demoing Maestro to you, so you can see it in action. Very excited. And of course, I'm Chris Krause, and I'm excited to share this great content with you. So what we're going to be talking about today? Well, we've got AI and workflow generation. What is it? When should you use it? How does it actually work and transform your design process? And why do you want to take AI into your workflow generation space? Then we're going to dive into you actually getting to see it in action. Jeff's going to show you the Content Innovation Cloud, and Jake's going to show you UiPath Maestro product. And then we'll finish that up with how can you add this into your infrastructure? So how can we actually implement AI into my workflow process? And we got a special offer for you on an assessment to be able to take advantage of all the great things coming with AI and workflow and give you a quick review. So with that, let's dive into this content. So when is a great time to take advantage of and try out AI within workflow? A lot of you who have used OnBase for a long time understand that automation is critical to reducing the amount of manual repetitive tasks within your organization. Departments should not be doing that today. And so that's the first spot you want to be looking for. If you still have staff members doing manual repetitive tasks, you know they're ripe for automation. Another great way to find out if you've got an automation opportunity is look for areas where inquiries are piling up. Those could be internal inquiries, customer inquiries, anywhere you see a backlog of work. That is a great area to find out where automation could help reduce that pile up. And of course, the ever-changing business landscape is demanding that you do more with automation because staff isn't going to be able to cover all the different things that you need to be able to do to bring to market to service your clients even better. And IT is not all alone. They have Jira and other platforms, ServiceNow, to manage their backlog. So if you see a backlog of IT requests for automation, this is a great opportunity to leverage AI to reduce that. And last but not least, of course, staff feeling burnt out, or if you see attrition, if you see a lot of staff members leaving, that's a key sign that things aren't operationally as effective as they could be, and it's time to add some automation into your organization. So some really easy ways to seek out those opportunities, and they are going to be everywhere in your organization as soon as you open up your eyes. Now,
that weeds in the garden thing kind of hits a little too close to home, Chris. I don't know about you, but here in Northeast Ohio, it's been like perfect weed summer. It's a full-time job. That's where my IT staff is, out weeding the garden.
Jeff, I couldn't agree more, and I'm an expert weed grower at this point. So our vision, as you know, we like to reimagine work to deliver exceptional outcomes, but in this case, we're explicitly reimagining your processes to deliver exceptional outcomes. Automation and your processes are going to be revolutionized when you take advantage of AI in order to build out your workflow process even faster than ever before. All right. So what is this whole thing around AI workflow creation? Well, AI, as you know, many of you have used it with ChatGPT, or perhaps you have Copilot running in your organization to do things like help you create emails, or maybe you're going to use it as a sales and marketing campaign generator. Sometimes people use it just to come up with names or other creative ways because you don't feel like you're very creative, but you don't necessarily think about it to actually create or build a workflow process. Well, now with AI, you can absolutely do that. And we're going to show you how with certain prompts that you can do that very easily. And that will develop an organized, consistent process with tasks that will automate, enhance, and quicken the overall process that you're bringing to it. Because of course, if you have a paper process today, you don't want to simply replace that with make it electronic. You want to improve that process. And this AI workflow creation will help you do that. In addition, if you think email is a workflow automation process, that it is not. Email is wonderful for communication, but it is not a workflow process. So a truly automated workflow will be out of email and put all that visibility and structured process in the hands of the users. So our vision is to collaborate directly with those key stakeholders to create that solution framework. And I want to use framework really important here because for all of you old on-base admins who have built a lot of workflows in your past, you know, I can go into Studio, start creating a life cycle with queues and add some ad hoc tasks in there. And you can build that out very quickly and you understand that nomenclature. But the business stakeholders oftentimes don't. In fact, even when it's solution design, they oftentimes don't know what that means when you do that. Well, this AI is going to create that nice, beautiful flow for you and give them a nice visual that while you're working side by side with them, they'll be able to get their approval right away based on that solution design. And then behind the scenes, after the fact, you're going to take that framework and plug it into all of your security levels and things that you need to do to bring that vision to life. So you more quickly be able to implement workflows in every department, which is really fun and exciting. And Jeff is going to show you that, and Jake's going to show you that in just a moment. So why wouldn't you choose to use an AI workflow to generate a process? Well, first off, you don't need to know the nomenclature of any particular project. You just have to use natural language to design your process. You just tell it exactly what you need and what you want it to be able to do, and it will take care of the rest. And you'll see that in just a moment. Because if you can imagine it, it will build it. And you can also extend your existing workflow processes. So if you want to add, say, a new exception process, AI can help you do that based on the existing process. And keep in mind, there's a lot of opportunities, and there's especially in those backlogs, where you may have a process that you can see the opportunity, but you maybe haven't taken advantage of it because you don't have the time. Well, AI is going to give you the time to be able to add any process or take any idea at any scale and bring it into your organization. And because you're doing it so quickly, that increased time to value with consistent quality and great understanding of the process and the flow will improve outcomes for customer service and employees alike. So you can see some great updates there. So what are we talking about from a value proposition? Oh, Jeff?
I was just going to say, before you go any further, people are probably wondering what's all this going to cost?
It is going to cost you. Great segue, Jeff. Oh, I love it. So for those of you in the traditional sense, maybe you've worked with third-party consultant companies or even Naviant, a workflow design project often costs between $20,000 and $40,000 per project. And now with AI, they can do a majority of that design on the fly, rapidly, in moments. So it's going to sharply reduce your cost to implement using AI. Another critical cost factor to consider is the absence of an automation process. If it's sitting in your backlog, or if you simply haven't had time to be able to address other parts of your organization, you're missing out on the costs of the opportunity costs to implementing that automation process. So anything that you skip on average costs you $46,000. Now that cost can go up severely when you factor in things like not having your total cost of ownership for any application in your organization. So if you're not leveraging your tech stack effectively, as an example, and of course, there's a lot of other soft costs that can be factored in, but that's the average. And yes, I did use AI to get that average cost savings as well.
So one thing I think is important to understand, $46,000. What this really means is you have about 1,000 hours out there sitting where somebody's doing something that could be easily automated, right? So this is not just cost, but this comes back to human potential, and somebody's sitting out there doing a task that you could invest in and you could automate, and you could put that person towards doing something that is value added.
Love that, Jake. Absolutely.
I love
1,000 hours is a lot. Yeah. Oh, that's great. So every processing error, so this was by not having an automated process, every processing error, on average, the cost to fix that error is $53 per error. And the manual transaction cost is somewhere between $10 to $16 per transaction. And especially if you think of like an invoice process, right? Per invoice, that's pretty true to average for an invoice process. Every process will have a slightly different cost factor depending on the resources using it. Like legal resources are extensively more expensive to do contract reviews. So if you have multiple lawyers reviewing those things, those costs are even going to go up. But those are really good averages to consider and why automation can reduce the processing errors and improve the overall cost for per transaction, like in this case for invoices. So now we got AI in the mix. We're going to be able to automate or create our automations in a really, really rapid fashion. And we're going to be able to reduce our overall costs by about 70 to 75%, bringing the cost down to about $2.50 to $6 per transaction from 10 to 16. That's a dramatic savings and a great reason why you'd want to take advantage of AI to build your workflows. And automation brings so many other benefits to your organization. And so leveraging AI to create these workflows, the first thing it does, of course, reduce those errors and rework by, on average, 40 to 75%. You also see gains in process visibility and controls by 70 to 90%. And this is a really big one. When people ask, where is my thing? Being able to answer that effectively matters. And if you're in a highly regulated or compliance industry, this is even more important because you're going to stay within compliance, reducing your overall risk of being out of compliance and having to pay some fines. And of course, we all care about customers, and gains in customer satisfaction scores is anywhere from 15 to 30% on average. That is a really, really big win. By having consistent processes, employees can better engage with those customers, and customers understand where things are within the process so that they always are meet or exceed their expectations. And last but not least, employee satisfaction also goes up by 15 to 35%. They understand the process, they understand what is expected of them and how they need to be able to get their work done effectively, and they can add more value to the organization because they're not doing repetitive tasks. They're doing that they're leveraging their mind to be able to make quality decisions about a particular situation and handle those exception processing in a meaningful way. So they feel like their work has meaning within the organization. And that's why those scores jump up.
You know what, Chris, I just maybe correct a little bit here that, these gains or these improvements that we've noted will happen with any type of workflow, right? With any type of automation that you put into the organization. But the difference is with this AI workflow generation, it's a lot easier to get that done. It's a lot easier to take that on and get that, make progress and get that in place. Whereas in traditional workflow generation, it's maybe a big lift to get approved for the project, to get access to the development resources to do so, on and on and on. And it can be kind of a daunting task. And the AI workflow generation is just this enabler, this lubricant that's going to enable stuff to happen a lot easier.
Yes, great show, Jeff. I absolutely agree.
So, Chris, one other thing I was going to mention there in the previous slide, when we're talking about customer satisfaction scores. Now, when you're talking about AI workflow generation, I've had the pleasure to help a lot of organizations stand up governance models and intake processes to say, hey, here's an idea, how do we vet it and then actually get it into production? By far, from a business user standpoint, by far the biggest gripe with the process is it takes so long once I submit my idea for someone to come and vet my idea and map it out and then be able to help me move it along. So specifically to workflow generation, the 15 to 30%, I can't quantify this, but I could say it feels exceedingly low in terms of the potential to say, hey, got an idea? Well, submit, let's talk about that idea and let's see how we can map it out, which we're about to see here with a couple pretty cool tools.
I love that. Yeah, so Jeff, show us some really cool CIC AI workflow generation.
Please. You and your manners. You just demand. You don't demand of AI. You're more polite with AI than you are with me.
I thought you were AI.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this is pretty cool. This is a lot of fun to be able to bring some of these new technologies to you and show you just put in visuals what we've been talking about up to now. What you see on your screen is the Studio Modeler tool from Hyland in their Content Innovation Cloud. And basically, this is the tool that enables us to generate these AI generated workflows in short order. And I'm going to do that from scratch here. You're going to see me create a project, and I'm going to call it Sample HR Onboarding. And I'm going to create an empty project. The most painful thing you're going to see is me typing today. Have an empty project here and a bunch of different things that I can configure on the side, right? And to contrast what we're talking about today in terms of how AI can help us, let's look at this from more of a traditional process. In the current world, let's call this the old way. In the old way, when we go to create a process, the first thing we do is we interview our business owners. We take down a lot of elaborate notes. We ask them about their current state and their future state and what they would envision a perfect world being. And we create a lot of documentation and put that in a form of a specification. Then we hand it off to a developer, and a developer starts reading from the spec and takes this empty screen and starts going ahead and adding boxes to it, right? Starts building out this workflow process, and they call it like step one, and uh, you know inch by inch, and th'ese are pretty cool tools. I'm not gonna lie, you can build out the framework of a process pretty fast. But the thing is, it's happening kind of late in the game here, right? We've already had all our interviews. The people have left the room, and we're sitting in the dark, building this at home in the evening. So let me show you the new way of doing this, right? So we're going to call this the new way here. And now I'm going to say generate this process with AI. And I'm going to go ahead and ask my business owners about their process and have them describe to me what they would like to see. And in this case, they're going to say, our new onboarding process starts with offer verification, and then we have to do some checks to see what kind of training they need, and we need to assign training modules to them, and we need to give them access to their tools, and we need to collect documents, and we need to schedule some meetings, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and take this and drop this right into my process designer here and say, well, they told you what they needed. Why don't you just build it?
And Jeff, I love the fact that there was nothing in there that was related to nomenclature that would be, say, typical with OnBase Studio. No life cycle, no queues, simply what do I need?
Right? Then I need 3 ad hoc actions. All right, and it's just like that. It says my process is ready, and I can find my mouse. I can open up my screen here. Let me give us a little more real estate so we can see. So you see here on the right, it says your process is ready. If you need to make any changes, you just change your description. You just add a little bit more language or change words around if you didn't get exactly what you want. But you can see here, our process description is exactly what I just pasted in here, right? And if we follow along, if you were to look, it's onboarding process start. We verify the offer. We check to see what kind of training we need. If we need to, we provision some tools for them, sending out an email to collect documents. We create our HR task list, and we notify the manager to go ahead and introduce the associate into the team. And so we did all of this, right? So the person, our business owner, described their process. We visualized it within the tool, and now we can have a discussion right at the same time about, okay, do we need to add anything else? Is there anything missing? Do we want to change the order of things? Do we need to put any additional checks in or additional rules? So we can do all of that live on screen. And part of this process is we need to also develop a form to collect information as part of this process. So if I come over here, I can do the same thing in my forms. Let's say I want to create a new form to collect information. And if I can find my Word document, and I say, okay, well, what kind of information do we need to collect on the form? Again, ask the same question of our business owner, have them describe it, and let the AI go ahead and generate the form. Did I do that wrong? Yes, I did, because I'm not AI. So AI onboarding form. So that form that I created before was going to require me to manually add all of the fields. But now if I say generate with AI and put my description in, I'm going to get a better result.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the number one things that automation comes into play is how do I get my data in? Well, from a data collection standpoint, we do forms all the time. Many of you use Unity forms today. This is taking it that one step even better. As long as you hit the AI button.
As long as you hit
Otherwise,
the AI button.
otherwise, Jeff's showing you the old way to build your form.
It's the new old way. It's still pretty fresh. It's still pretty cool. But this is better, right? So, pretty quickly there, we've generated a form. I didn't tell it what fields I wanted on the form. I just said I want like standard demographic information, right? I need first name, last name, and I need my email address and phone number and my house address. And, I can collect date fields and I can collect things like gender and get a drop-down list, and I can upload and attach important documents that I need to add. And I can mark fields as required or optional, right? So it just knows, just like I can interpret a very basic request and respond back with something very detailed and very useful. And in fact, if we go back to our request here real quick, it said we need a form to collect information and attach documents, and we also need a second tab to collect emergency contact information. So how did we do? We have a second tab here, and we have our emergency contact information. So really great way for us to generate something of value, right? This is a legitimate beginning to our process. And once we've confirmed that we have everything, all the information that we're gathering, we've got everything laid out, we feel good and comfortable about the flow, then we can send our business owners away and we can go through and finish up and do the final mile of the development in terms of wiring things up to the back office systems. And we have all of the tools are right here, and this sort of traditional, we can drag and drop and point and click configure this the rest of the way, but we're really far down the road and we're really less likely to have to do rework, because when we produce the final result, they've never seen it before and they're like, that's not what I meant, right? This way we've got consensus before we started, and the AI helped us take all that information and bring it to life. So pretty cool.
And Jeff, I love that form, the fact that right now you're looking at the desktop view, but these are dynamic forms that are responsive to other devices like mobile and tablets as well. So if your process is oftentimes initiated through a mobile device, it automatically does that for you today in a responsive format.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. That's pretty cool stuff. All right,
That was
so
amazing,
that's
Jeff.
quick look at CIC. So just sort of like how do you get started with this? Well, this CIC Hyland Automate, it's these are all modern tools. You need a login account in a browser. You don't need to install tons of software. You just need to log in and get started. This is all deployed in the Hyland AWS cloud. It's all secure. You can release revisions in a snap, and this would all sit on top of and complement your existing on-base infrastructure or even other infrastructure you have within your organization. You can make this an additive capability, so you can bring AI automation anywhere in your organization that you want. And with that, we're going to hand the ball over to the real superstar in the room here and get a UiPath demo. Jake, you want to share your screen?
Got it, Jeff. All right. Super cool, right? What Jeff showed us there. I mean, the ability to interact with the system and generate workflows and then be able to pass that workflow onto the technical team. These are really the game-changing functionalities that we're talking about, right? I mean, we're starting to move away from that manual mapping to manual review to manual handoff to the technical team to import all that information into a development platform and then try and automate. Really, what we're dealing with here is it's all embedded in the same platform. You can do your prompting, you can do your mapping, you can do your handoff, and you're handing the development team, the technical team, a process that's been thought through in their platform that they can start to go and test stuff in. So we're eliminating steps, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you UiPath's Maestro platform. So right away when you log in, one thing that you're going to notice right away, it looks super similar, right? And I think it's extremely intentional for these platforms. They're looking intentional because if you can do it on one, you're able to actually take the result of that, export it, put it into another system. Jeff and I earlier today were playing around where I was creating one on UiPath's Maestro and passing it to him, and he was creating one and passing it to me. Super interactive. All that information can get uploaded like any Gen AI platform, right? There's pros and cons behind everything, right? And you have to find what works for you. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you creating a workflow very similarly. I'll leave out some of the detail that Jeff already showed. Platform similar. I won't necessarily map out a manual process. But I will talk about a invoice processing process. So if Jeff was bad at typing, I'm substantially worse. So what I'm going to do here is I have a pre-ready prompt. And really what this is all put in language like I'm a business user coming in and I'm writing what do I do, right? So I'm going to say, so invoices come to me either by email or into a SharePoint folder. Then what I have to do is I have to go and I have to check that invoice and see if it is actually an invoice and then start pulling some details. Then I have to go and have to match it against some purchase orders and receipts. Then I have to, if it's over a certain dollar amount, I have to route it to somebody to get an approval. After everything gets approved, it's going to go and it's going to get posted into SAP. If anything goes wrong in that, then it's going to route to a supervisor. Right, so that's really what this prompt is here, summarized. In that conversation, again, if I'm the business user or if I'm sitting down with somebody and I'm describing my process, everything in here is written just like how you would talk, right? This is not a super technical, like, then I want it to go and I want this portion of the process to use RPA, and then I want this to go over and use an agentic workflow. This is just very natural, plain language. You're going to describe your process. You hit enter. And while that's loading, I already have one pre-populated here. This is what the output looks like. It'll take about a minute and I'll jump back to the other screen. But then you're going to get this process all mapped out. Invoice is going to come in to either SharePoint or via email, right? Path merges here. Then the tool is going to classify the document type. Is it an invoice, right? It's going to send it down a path. No, it's going to send it to an AP clerk to review. All of these different steps through here, right? From an approval standpoint, right? It's just going to go to the cost center and get approved, or to go to the finance director to get approved. Come back in here, keep going. Now, one difference that I want to call out on Maestro is, let's say I'm going through this and we're describing it and we say, hey, hold on. I want to add a step in here. Let's say document actually contains Jeff Comier. I want that routed directly into a queue where Jake and Chris get to review it, classify it.
Throw it away.
So I'm going to put that prompt in here. We'll give it a second to load, but again, any questions, Jeff or Chris, as we're waiting for this to come here?
Well,
I
Jake,
love
one
that
thing I
your
was going to mention. Go ahead, Jeff.
Please.
No, I was going to say I love your the details within your prompt. You definitely, I've heard it many times for folks that have done some prompting, whether you're using Copilot or ChatGPT. You do notice that the more detail you give and the more you can articulate it accurately, the better the result. And your workflow is very detailed based on the amount of details that you included. And so I love seeing that in there.
I think that's a really good call out. And while this looks like an overwhelming amount of text, really it's not, right? When you say, hey, describe your process, and someone will describe their process for a couple minutes, it generates this many words, right? And so we can do things like we can use Teams, and it's taking a transcript, and I say, Chris, tell me about your process. Chris describes his process. I copy that transcript, I paste it in here. We take a look at the workflow, and then we start going from here, just like I did, to say, well, actually, we're looking for documents that have Jeff's name in it, right? I put in my prompt, and now the new workflow is going to try and insert it in here, right? It's highlighted in green and say, here's a net new step. Does the document have Jeff in it? Yes, routed to a special work queue, right? No, keep following that old process. Now I can hit accept. Right now we have our new process built out, all the same steps. If we want to do another one, right, we say, actually, I want to add another human step, right? A human manual step that invoices over $100,000 actually need to go to the CFO prior to going to the finance director. I can put it in here. Workflow gets regenerated. It'll ask you, do you like this one? Is this what I did? And one of the things that I really like about Maestro, it's very similar to how you effectively use ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, whatever your tool of choice is. It's about prompting, and it's like a conversation. And if you keep having the conversation, it gets better. You'll get that workflow. If something goes wrong and you don't like the way it looks, you can say, no, I reject that. And then you can try your prompt again. So here, just being that example. All right, now we got a new, or, it'll happen. I couldn't process your results. This will happen. Maybe it's maybe here in the prompt, it's too generic and we actually don't know where in the workflow it was supposed to be inserted. So I can go back and I could say, during the check invoice amount phase, if it's over $100,000, go to the CFO. Again, while these processes are saving time, right? It's not foolproof, and you can't. Not every single prompt is going to generate a perfect outcome. It's like a conversation with anyone that we have a relationship with. Sometimes you have to be more clear, give more detail. Once you get it all in here, what happens is you can save this. Right, I'm going to save my workflow. I'll call this my invoice processing workflow. You can have a ton of these. It's all going to go in a library. All of these are here, and then this library can be shared with different people. And then again, this becomes that bridge between the business team describing your process and the technical team then to look at that process and say, okay, this technology would make a lot of sense in this point, or this could be just simple RPA here to here to here. But now when we get to this complicated decision point, maybe we need to throw in some agentic AI, and we need to really put some thought around this decision point. But again, all this really meant to you put your thoughts, your workflow in the plain language, and you get a map that can then be iterated on and passed back and forth between the business team and the technical team.
Yeah, I love that,
Jake,
Jake. We're not too far from, this like in AI world, like, weeks or months away from you just have one box there, which is your AP agent, and it's just like, yeah, I got this. You don't need to involve all these other people. I know how to approve an invoice. There's no need to bother the CFO for for this matter.
Sure. Well, I'll turn it back to you, Jeff, to keep us moving through the presentation. So just to, just to recap, right? What I just showed you was UiPath's Maestro, and it's powered by UiPath's Autopilot, right? And Autopilot is like a Gen AI tool similar to ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those tools where you can prompt it and then you get back a response. The key output of that is really the workflow that you can keep iterating and describing and inserting steps onto. Autopilot, it's available after you get the UiPath suite of tools. Maestro becomes available to you, and really one of the more powerful tools out there in terms of being able to interact and connect business teams, the people doing the work, and the technical teams, the teams trying to automate the work. For a long time, that's, being able to speak both languages is what many of us spend a huge amount of our time doing. Now you have these tools that make that easier, which ends up increasing throughput, right? You can get to more automations, you can automate more processes, and you don't have to spend your time talking about what the process is or what the potential solution could be.
Awesome.
yeah, beautiful demos, both Jeff and Jake. Those were incredible. And you saw a very detailed prompt from Jake, and it yielded a very nice process flow. And Jeff put a more generic style prompt in, and you saw it also created a very nice flow. And the power of AI today, he didn't have to be explicit about everything. It knew about a lot of things simply because of the genre for which he put it in, like HR and collecting a demographic form. It knew automatically it needed all this information without even having to ask. So it's really, really powerful. And you saw it was all done in seconds. It did not take long for these to be built right away. So whether you are a BA, you obviously don't need to be a programmer. You could be a business leader. And simply by detailing out what you would like to have happen, the magic of AI is going to bring it to fruition. And as soon as you start taking advantage of this automation technology and the AI and the beautiful things that Jake and Jeff showed you, you are also going to be reducing the number of errors of rework by 40 to 70%. You're going to see those gains in the visibility and controls in your processes by that 70 to 90%. And you're going to see the employee and customer satisfaction scores jump up by that 15 to 35%. Everybody's going to be happier by running through a structured process that is consistent. So lots of great reasons why you want to take advantage of these technologies. And of course, by using natural language, you're going to design your process simply with your BAs and your key business users. You don't need your programmers diving in on that because they're really busy. You can imagine it, build it, and any process, any idea. We showed you a couple different examples, invoice processes, and I know if you were paying really close attention to Jake's screen, you saw some templates out there as well, which is another great starting point. So this idea that, hey, there's already a process out there, it's a generic process, but it's at my Kickstarter point to have a conversation with my business and to be able to get a process started. I can do that very quickly and then scale it up to my organization, because ultimately the goal is to reduce or increase the time to value. And that's what these tools are going to bring to you.
I was just thinking back to, the best example of that I can think of is Jake's prompt had the term happy path in it. And I'm pretty sure UiPath doesn't have like a control called happy path that you can drag onto the screen, but it created this, this really quite elegant workflow in no time using for sure the language that, that we all use. Very cool.
I love that. Well, and here's that special offer for all of you that are attending our special insider session. We will conduct a free ROI assessment for you to be able to leverage in the AI workflow generator. Simply take your phones out right now, because I know you all have your phones handy. You might have been on it this whole time, especially while Jeff was talking. take a picture of this QR code. It'll bring up an email and let us know you're interested, and we will come out and we will meet with you and show you the particular tools and technology for your particular use case and let you try your use cases live. So you get to see exactly one of your items in practice. So, because I know those two use cases may not be exactly what you're looking for, but you have something that you want to automate, and we will let you do it in these tools today. So scan this QR code, and we'll be with you shortly.
Raise your hand if you need more time. Going once, going twice.
And you can just take a picture of Jeff if you like. Well, those were very quick demos, and you're like, hey, I want to learn more. Where can I find more information? Well, we have a litany of areas that we share information on a very regular basis, starting with our blog and newsletter. Both are filled with lots of really great technical and business information. This insider session, make sure you're tuning in every month to the latest and greatest tech and features. And along with our LinkedIn and YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is growing every day. So if you haven't, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you will always be notified of our latest, greatest submissions. There are also 2 educational conferences coming up, one literally right around the corner, at Community Live. So Hyland's Community Live, you're going to see a lot of advancements in the CIC platform. We showed you the Automate and the forms building in Automate, but there is going to be a lot more. So if you want to learn more about those, make sure you join us out in Community Live. Jeff and I will be there in person. So please come find us at beautiful Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas next week. We look forward to seeing you then. And if you are more interested in being a part of the UiPath Fusion, their conference is September 29th through October 2nd back in Las Vegas. And you can maybe go to both.
We might as well just stay.
Just stay. I love that. We'll win big and retire. So Fusion September 29th through October 2nd, where you get to see Jake in person. So lots of ways to learn new things. So going back to why we were here together today, we want to reimagine your process to deliver exceptional outcomes. You saw great examples from both the CIC Automate platform and how you can improve an HR process, and the UiPath Maestro platform, how you can improve your invoice processing examples in a matter of seconds. It's definitely reimagined, leveraging AI in your workflow automation process. With that, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jake, for showing us these amazing tools and how we can deliver more value. And thank you all for being in attendance today. We look forward to working with you in your AI workflow initiatives going forward.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.